Hello viewers, welcome to a brand new section, Vuex, Managing State in your application. In this section, you will see how to manage the data that represents a global application state. We will talk about Vuex, a special architecture for centralized states in Vue applications. You will learn how to create a global data store and how to retrieve and change it inside the components. We will define what data is local and what should be global in our applications, and we will use the Vuex store to work with a global state in them. You will also learn about store getters, mutations, and actions, and install and use the Vuex store in the shopping list and Pomodoro applications. Let's start with the first video, Parent-Child Components Communication, Events, and Brain Teaser. In this video, we will change the title component using events. Remember our shopping list application? Do you remember our ChangeTitle component and how we ensured that typing in its input box would affect the title of the shopping list that belongs to the parent component? Do you remember that each component has its own scope and the scope of the parent component cannot be affected by children components? Thus, in order to be able to propagate the changes from inside the children components to the parent components, we used events. Putting it very simply, you can call the $emit method from the child component with the name of the event being dispatched and listen to this event within the v-on directive on the parent component. If it is a native event such as input, it is even more simple. Just bind the needed attribute to the child component as a v-model and then call the $emit method with the name of the event, for example, input, from the child component. Actually, this is exactly what we have done with ChangeTitle Component. Open the code inside the Section 5 Shopping List folder and check if I'm right. You might also want to install run install and npm run dev. You can see the shopping list application here. We bound the title using the vmodel directive to ChangeTitle Component inside the shopping list component template. After that, we declare the value of the title model inside the props attribute of the ChangeTitle component and emit the input event on the input action. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Run this again. If we try to change the title in the input box, the title of our shopping list changes accordingly. Looks like we were actually able to achieve our purpose. However, if you open your dev tools, you will see an ugly error. Vue is actually right. We are mutating the data that is contained inside the shopping list component's props attribute. This attribute comes from the main parent component, app.vue, which is in turn the parent of our shopping list component. And we already know that we cannot mutate the parent's data from the child component. If the title belonged directly to the shopping list component, we were all good, but in this case, we are definitely doing something wrong. Also, if you are paying enough attention, you probably noticed that there's one more place that contains the same piece of data that doesn't change, despite our effort. Look at the tab's title. It continues to display the word groceries, but we want to change that as well. I've added a new component, Shopping List Title Component. It represents the tab's title. Do you remember computed properties? Note that this component contains one that just prepends hash to the ID imported through the props attribute to generate an anchor. The anchor that displays the tab's title contains an href binding directive that relies on this computed property. So, back to the title changing. What can we do to change the title of this component when the title inside the ChangeTitle component changes? If we could propagate the event to the main app.vue component, we could actually solve both problems. Whenever the data in the parent component changes, it affects all the children components. So, we need to somehow make the event flow from ChangeTitle component until the main app component. Sounds difficult, but actually, we just need to register our custom event in both ChangeTitle component and its parent and emit it until it reaches the app component. The app component should handle this event by applying the change to the corresponding title. In order for app.view to know exactly which shopping list is being changed, its child shopping list component should also pass the ID of the shopping list that it represents. For this to happen, app.view should pass the ID property to the component, and the shopping list component should register it in its props attribute. So, we will perform some steps. Bind the ID property to shopping list component on its creation inside the app components template. Bind the property title instead of vModel to the ChangeTitle component from within the shopping list component. Attach the custom event, let's call it ChangeTitle, to input inside the ChangeTitle component. Tell shopping list component to listen to the custom ChangeTitle event coming from the ChangeTitle component using the vOn directive, and handle it by emitting another event. It can also be called ChangeTitle, that should be caught by the app component. Attach listener to the ChangeTitle event to the shopping list component inside app.view and handle it by actually changing the title of the corresponding shopping list. Let's start by modifying the app.view files template and binding the shopping list's ID to the shopping list component. Now register the ID attribute inside the shopping list component component's props. Then bind the title data property instead of the vModel directive to the ChangeTitle component. Go to the shopping list component and replace this with colon. Now go to ChangeTitle Component.view and replace the value with title. Emit a custom event instead of input from the ChangeTitle component and listen to this event in its parent's component. So instead of input, I will write here ChangeTitle. Now open shopping list component.view and add the vOn directive for ChangeTitle. Then create the onChangeTitle method in shopping list component that will emit its own ChangeTitle event. Listen to this event in the app.view component using the vOn directive. Note that the onChangeTitle method and the shopping list component should send its ID in order for app.view to know which shopping list's title is being changed. So, the onChangeTitle method and its handling will look something like this. So in shopping list component, add the onChangeTitle method. Then go to app.view and add the vOn directive to listen to the event. Finally, let's create a ChangeTitle method inside app.view that will find a shopping list in the shopping lists array by its ID and change its title. Here is the method. Note that we have used the underscore class's findWhere method to make our task of finding the shopping list by its ID easier. Here is the link for that. And we are done. Check the final code for this teaser in the Section 5 Shopping List 2 folder. Check the page in the browser. So go to Shopping List 2 and run the dev command. Try to change the title in the input box. You will see that it changes everywhere. Try to repeat all the steps by yourself. In the meantime, let me be random and tell you two words: global and local. Think about it. In this video, we learnt about parent-child components communication, events, and brain teaser successfully. Awesome!